Now entering the ring are the yearling ewes. Currently in the ring are the yearling ewes. This is the first call for fall ewes. Please be ready at ringside.
Well, it's definitely a beautiful day to sort some livestock in Bishop, California. The ewe lamb that I'm going to start this class off with is one I feel carries a touch more terminal shape up top, yet she's maternal in her underline. This one needs to be jacked up in her chest floor just a notch, a little bit longer neck. Maybe take a little bit of the little bit moderate stature out of her and lengthen her up like our second place ewe, but I still think she's the best structured and the best balanced one to go ahead and win the class. The ewe that comes in second, I love how just long and extended and level this one is. I'd like to make her a little bit more maternal underneath, make her a little bit better structured and a little heavier muscle to complete her out, but I think we have two really nice ewes. If you would, give them a nice round of applause.
In first place, Courtney Polish, and in second place, Evan Lawrence. Now entering the ring, we will have the fall ewes.
You that I start this class off with, I think she just brings the most fault-free package to the table. This one's wide-based. She's big boned. She's open up in her chest floor. She tracks extremely wide when she goes away from you as well. This one's level down her top. Is she the most moderate one in the class? I won't deny that at all, but I think this one just ties everything together and balances up extremely well for me. The sheep that comes in second, I like this one an awful lot. This one's big and maternal in the center part of her body. This one is long and level down her top line and carries a ton of power as well. This one just doesn't balance up quite as nice compared to the ewe lamb right in front of her. I'd like to bring her up in her chest floor. I'd like to make her a little bit better structured off her rear leg and make her a bit better balanced, but a really nice ewe there as well. The ewe lamb that's in third, I like this one an awful lot. I love her rib shape. I love the way she ties into the top side of her neck. Where she falls into issues with me is from her hip transition back. She starts to slope to her hips. She gets too narrow at the ground, and she just needs a little bit more lower leg to complete out like the two ewe lambs in front of her. The ewe lamb that comes in fourth, this one's massive as far as her bone work. This one's extremely powerful in her rib shape. This one just gets too narrow at the ground for me. I'd like to open her up like our first place ewe there and just make her a little bit better balanced, excuse me. The ewe that comes next, another one that's long and level. She just needs to be simply better structured and better balanced to compete up any higher in the class. The ewe that comes next, another one that I like a lot as far as the maternal shape. This one needs to have a shot more muscle out of the top side of her hip. I'd like to make this one a little bit shaggy to balance her out not much better, but a really nice the ewe there as well. The blue ewe that rounds out the class. You talk about one that's free looking and extended in her neck, long bodied. She just needs a shot more muscle. She needs a bit more bone work underneath of her, and she needs to be a shot wider base. But a really good class to use from top to bottom. If you would give them a nice round of applause.
In first place, Amaya Sarte. Second place, Miley Patton. Third place, Evan Lawrence. Fourth place, Kayla Daughtry. And fifth place, Ryan Jeffrey. Next in the ring, we will have the spring ewes. Currently in the ring are the spring ewes. Following this is the champion ewe drive.
Well, I think this one could write some history books because I don't think I've ever judged a sheep class with 4 young men in it. Usually there's a girl in there to throw up the mix, but these young guys are doing a heck of a good job getting these things stuck and getting them presented today. The ewe lamb that wins the class, one that I like a lot. I think she's long-bodied. She's really good in the center part of her rib and back into her belly line, just extremely soft and proportionate there. A sheep that definitely needs to have a shot more lower leg muscle to her, but I still think that one proportions well, and that one has to win the class for me. The ewe lamb that comes next, I like this one an awful lot as well. This one's long and level. She's massive in her rack shape. She wants to round her loin just a bit. And with that, I think she gets a little higher spine when we set her into motion. I'd like to bring her spine down in her just a notch, but I think that one's awfully good. I just want to fix that structural aspect about her, but I think that one's awfully good, like I said. The sheep that comes next, I like this one an awful lot. I think she's presented very poorly. I think we needed to work on our clip job a bit. We blend down her legs just a hair and get her ready for a show ring look today. But I think with those things said, we could pick this one up in her chest floor. We can make her a shot heavier muscled out of her rear leg. We can make her a bit better off her rear pastern, but that's a nice sheep. We just need to work on presentation on that one. The sheep that comes next, I just want to fix her in her structural build. I think she gets a little narrow to the ground. She gets a little closer to her hock and a little straighter to her hock. But with that, I think she has a lot of maternal shape in the center part of her body, and that one's going to make a nice breeding piece spread to the right ram. If you guys would, give them a nice round of applause.
In first place, Ben Kemp. Second place, Landon Blackburn. Third place, Tommy Fogarty. And in fourth place, Ryan Jeffrey. Now in the ring, we will have the champion, you drive.
As we talk about our yearling ewe out here, I think that one's ultra good in her body shape. I think that one's good in her base width and structural build. That one, I think when we get her out compared to some of her contemporaries, I think we can make that one shoulder assembly just a notch better. Talked about that one, need to have a bit more neck extension in her class, but I think that one's awfully good as well. The sheep that comes out this middle class, I like this one an awful lot. I love her structural build. I love her muscle pattern. If I'm going to get nitpicky on that one, I'd like to fix her in her loin edge just a bit, maybe freshen her up just a bit, make her a little bit softer in her flank line, but I think that one's ultra good. The ewe that came out of that last class, love the extension of neck on that one, love the length of body. Just want to stouten that one up as far as her structural build, make her a little bit bigger bone, make that one a touch shaggier legged, make that one a little bit better out the top side of her hip. But I think that one from her 13th rib forward is ultra good. I love the extension in her neck. Like I said, I love the shoulder attachment in the front side of her body cavity there. I love how tucked up she is in her chest floor. So we got 6 really nice sheep out here. I think there's some give and take on which direction you want to go, but there's one that hit me extremely hard. The ewe lamb out of the middle class, she's going to be our champion. I'm going to take another look at him for reserve. I think it gets awfully close for reserve as we pull that other ewe out of that second hole. This one, I love the extension on that one. I love the length of body. This one needs to be a bit better structured off her rear leg like talked about in her class, but I still think there's a lot of good in that one. I just think there's a ewe that kind of pairs up to our champion a little bit better. Our yearling, she's going to be a reserve. Congratulations to all of you.
Congratulations, your champion ewe goes to Amaya Sarate, and reserve champion goes to Courtney Polish. Now entering the ring, we will have our fall rams.
Well, I definitely wish this guy had some more competition. I think this guy's ultra cool in his balance and build. I love his chest floor assembly. I love his underline. Plenty of lower shape to his leg. The coolest thing about this guy is his hip set. His tail head is jammed up in him. He's short. He has a big round rump to him. If I'm going to get hypercritical on this one, I'd like to fix him off his rear hock when we set this one in motion, but I think there's a lot of good in that guy. I wouldn't be afraid to use this guy in a larger group of ewes for sure. I think he's really good. Congratulations.
In first place, Jessica Millsap. Next in the ring, we will have the Spring Rams. Currently in the ring is the Spring Ram. Next, we will have the Champion Ram Drive.
Well, I think we're going to start to see quite a few of these sheep that are ultra moderate and stout. With that, though, I think if we bled this one, he would probably bleed DD. Nothing wrong with that. We have a white face herd at home, and we put a lot of these DD bucks on them because they bring a lot of things to the table. They bring a massive amount of just raw muscle shape. They bring good bone underneath of them. But where we need to protect them is structural build. So if you can put this sheep on like our second place yearling ewe, this sheep would make a really nice project down the road. But we just simply need to make sure we protect them when we put them back into the breeding herd. Talking about this guy, muscle shape, bone, power, he has everything going for him. Structural build is where we need to fix him right off his hind leg, and we need to bring this guy up in his chest floor just a notch. But I think this guy's ultra good for what he is. Congratulations.
First place, Landon Blackburn. We will now have the Champion Ram Drive.
I think as far as county fairs go, these are two of the nicer rams that I've ever had the opportunity to sort through as far as consistency and just being very well presented and the right type and kind that are usable for the club lamb industry. I just talked about that little sheep and talked about that big one as far as his body shape and structural build is just really good. Wanted to fix that one off his hind leg still when we set that one into motion. But I think our older sheep just is a little bit better as far as balance and usable pieces in a broad spectrum of use. He'll be our champion. Our younger sheep's going to be reserved. If you guys would, give him a nice round of applause.
Congratulations, your Champion Ram goes to Jessica Millsap, and Reserve Champion goes to Landon Blackburn. Next in the ring, we have the feeder lamb class.
We got one in our feeder division, and I think this one, it wasn't lack of effort for this one advancing into our market show. I think this one, as far as her body condition and where her structural build is, she's pretty right on. She's a little greener to the touch, but I think this one still handles with a lot of quality. This one's good in her loin edge. She's good in her rack shape. I love the extension of her neck. I want to make this one a little bit better in her structural build down low. Make this one a little bit bigger bone and a little bit softer to her pastern. She gets a little rigid there. I'd just like to free her up a bit, but I think the young lady's done an excellent job getting this one fed and presented today. If you guys would, give her a nice round of applause for our champion feeder.
First place, Leighton Bogey. Next, we will have Class 1 of 4-H market sheep. Currently in the ring is Class 1 of 4-H market sheep weighing 108 to 116 pounds.
Sheep want to be a little bit more difficult today, but that's okay. We'll take the time. I'm here all day long, and we'll work through them and get them shown correctly. The young lady that wins the class, this one is ultra intriguing as far as style and balance. This one is extremely wide base. This one's good legged. This one needs a shot more muscle to the right to the top side of his hip, but I think this one balances out and brings the composure that I'm looking for to win the class. Sheep that comes in second, you can't deny this one has a ton of muscle down its top, big and open up at the top side of his hip, tons of lower leg to her. Her structural balance is just thrown off for me. I want to extend this one up through the top side of her neck. I think if we bled this one, she'd probably be DT2, just like our reserve ram, but I think there's a lot of good as far as terminal shape and muscle. This one's going to hit the rail at an extremely high rate. The sheep that comes in third, I think, just simply does as far as a balance standpoint. Is this one as heavy muscled as compared to the two right in front of her? Definitely not, but that's why she's in third. She just doesn't have the muscle and power, yet she's still good in her structural lines. She's good in her chest floor. I love the extension she has in her neck. The individuals farther down the line, I talk to them just individually on things that I would like to see changed about their particular sheep, but every one of them does an excellent job getting these guys presented. If you would, give them a nice loud round of applause.
In first place, Zoe Akery. Second place, Reese Buffington. Third place, Ben Kemp. In fourth place, Clayton Allen. And in fifth place, Jackson Jacobson. Next in the ring, we have Class 2. Currently in the ring is Class 2, 4-H market sheep weighing 117 to 128 pounds.
We would like to kindly remind everyone, as you are parking your vehicles around the grounds, please be courteous of where you're parking your cars. And if it seems like a car shouldn't park there, please don't park there. We have a beautiful parking lot that you can place your vehicles in. I know we all want to be close, but we also need to make sure it's safe for all of our exhibitors. Thanks.
Impressive class of lighter weight lambs. The one that I start with, honestly, when this guy walked in the ring, I thought this one's good. He's ultra cool in his body. This one's presented extremely well. This one handled as soon as I put my hand on him exactly like I thought he would. He's lean enough to the touch, yet he has a good pliable muscle shape up high. He's extremely good at the top side of his loin, really square and open up in his hip. If I'm going to get critical on this one, I just want to open him up just a bit. I think if we open him up in his chest floor just a notch and open him up in his hind leg set just a hair, I think that one just would excel that much better, as I think that one's ultra good. The sheep that comes in second, I like this one an awful lot. I love his rack shape. I love his shoulder set. I love the underline of this one, where he just runs out of power for me is back to his hip set compared to the one right in front of him. But I think that one's ultra good. Young lady, you do a really good job getting this one presented and shown today. The sheep that comes in next, I love the rawness to this one. This one's muscle shape in his rack and back into his loin is extremely good. You truly evaluate this one for how much true muscle he has, and he gets a little bit light compared to the two right in front of him, but I think that one's ultra good. That's why he's in the third hole. I figured the sheep in fourth is worth the talk. That one is extended in his front end. He's long in his body shape. We need to brush the wool out on that one's leg. Fuzzy enough legged, we need to present that one a little bit better for the show ring today. Getting hypercritical on that one, I think if we could pick him up in his chest floor just a notch, make him a little bit heavier muscle out of his hindquarters, we could compete that one up in the class a little bit more. Good class of sheep, top four, extremely good. If you would, give him a nice round of applause.
In first place, Whitney Walters. Second place, Courtney Polish. Third place, Sarah Brown. Fourth place, Amiko Kirkland. And in fifth place, Cooper Peak. Next in the ring is Class 3. Currently in the ring is Class 3 4-H market sheep weighing 130 to 137 pounds.
Well, the sheep that wins the class, he does right when he walks on the ring. I just hope I wasn't going to be disappointed when I laid my hands on him, and I certainly wasn't. This one's really good in his body shape. I love the skin on the sheep. I know that sounds kind of weird, but this one's really tight-hided and really good in his hide. Young lady's done a good job keeping this one hydrated and show ring ready today. Is he the biggest sheep in the class as far as bone work and shag and just three-dimensional shape? Probably not, but I think this one does extremely well, bringing a lot of categories to extremely high level to win the class. The sheep that's in second, honestly, young man, I wish this one was presented a little bit better. I wish we would have took a little bit more time and clipped the extra wool off of this one, because I think this one's pretty high caliber. We just need to make sure that they're presented for show ring ready. Was he going to beat our first place sheep? Probably not. But I gave benefit of the doubt to the animal. This one's really good in his rack shape. He's good and extended up through his front end. This one's long-bodied. This one's good in his structural build for me. We just need to make sure we get this one a little bit better off his hind legs if we're going to get hypercritical on structural build. Good sheep there in second. The one that's in third kind of just balances up the next best for me as far as extension through his front end, length of body, and still having enough muscle to him. Definitely want to fix that one off his rear leg. I think he gets a little hyperextensive to his hock, but we got a good set of sheep from top to bottom. If you would, give him a nice round of applause.
In first place, Courtney Polish. Second place, Tommy Fogarty. Third place, Haley Rhodes. Fourth place, Kylie Acree. And in fifth place, Lorelei Balkunis. Next in the ring, we have Class 4.
I think our sheep in 1 and 3 probably should have left the wool on these guys and entered them in the mutton busting deal because they're a little bit wild. But I think when we sheared these guys off and seen what carcass value we have underneath of them, they're ultra good. The sheep that wins the class, this one is extremely big and three-dimensional in his rack shape and back into his loin. This one's the biggest hipped sheep in the class. This one's the widest base. Is he perfect by any means? No, but I think this one brings a lot of good to the table. I really, really wish I could fix his stupid attitude so we could get a good look at this one, but the young lady's doing a good job putting up with that attitude and getting this one shown to the best of her ability. The sheep that's in second, I told the young lady, I like this sheep an awful lot. I just hate his hind leg. Simply needs to make this one better structured off his rear leg. Need to make this one a little bit better out the top side of his hip, and I think that would correlate to better structural build off his rear leg. But I love the center body of this one. I love his rack shape. I like his underline an awful lot. I love the extension of front end this one carries. Nice sheep there in second. The sheep that's in third, another one that doesn't have the best attitude today. Maybe need to put a little bit more homework into this guy and just simply get him calmed down. It's a good thing you're strong because you can get this guy set into where he needs to be. Talking about the sheep, that one's long and extended and level and eye appealing from the side. If you truly get up on that guy, he just doesn't have that three-dimensional shape compared to the two right in front of him, but I still think there's a lot of quality in that guy. The sheep that's in fourth, I like that one an awful lot. As far as presentation goes, I think we could have blended down on this one's leg and continue to clip out that one's armpit and flank line to make him look that much better. But when you truly evaluate that guy, he just doesn't have the loin shape and the hind leg set compared to the ones right in front of him. But I still think we have 4 really good ones out there in the middle. If you guys would give him a nice round of applause.
In first place, Reese Buffington. Second place, Taylor Daly. Third place, Mikey Trejo. Fourth place, Alina Berry. And in fifth place, Michael Spratt. Next in the ring, we will have Class 5. Currently in the ring is Class 5 4-H market sheep weighing 150 to 158 pounds. All first or second 4-H market sheep, please be ready at ringside for the 4-H champion drive.
Wasn't sure if a young lady wanted to jump up there in first, but I think she definitely deserves it. I think that one's really good in his structural build. That one's good in his balance. Look at the symmetry and balance of chest floor to flank on that one, and then you evaluate that one up high. That one's ultra good in his rack shape and back into his loin. This one's full in his lower leg. Just a really, really good sheep, good high caliber sheep to win the class. The sheep that's in second, I like this one an awful lot. I just don't think this one has the power and dimensional shape compared to the one that wins the class. This one's awfully shapely out the bottom side of his hip, but this one gets a little rawer and a little tighter to the touch compared to the one right in front of him, but that's an ultra good one as well. The sheep that rounds out the top three, I think that one as far as style and extension and muscle shape up high is extremely good. Just doesn't have the structural build or the extra fuzz to make him compete up any higher in the class. Biggest thing I'd like to do on that one is make him better off his pasterns. I think he gets a little softer when we set him into motion, but I think he was the third best one in here, and that's why he's going to stand in the 3-hole. Talked about the sheep farther down the line. Just talking about the two ewe lambs here, I told the young man these things are a little bit more maternal than terminal. They look like they should be in the field getting ready to make some babies rather than go on somebody's dinner plate. And there's nothing wrong with showing ewe lambs. We just got to prepare them and hopefully don't run out of that terminal shape by the time we get to the show. But two really nice ewe lambs there as well. The sheep that rounds out top 5 just need better structural build on that one. If you guys would, really, really competitive class from top to bottom.
In first place, Miley Patton. Second place, Ruger Talbot. Third place, Kyron Blackburn. Fourth place, Landon Blackburn. And in fifth place, Will Kemp. Next in the ring is Class 6. Currently in the ring is Class 6. Next is the 4-H Champion Drive. All first and second 4-H market, please be ready at the ringside.
Got a single entry out here, but for a big sheep, I still think there's some quality in that one. That one gets a little bit more commercial type for me, but I think that one's ultra good still as far as balance and structural integrity and still having some meat and muscle up top. Maybe not the best show ring appearance to him, but I still think, like I said, there's a lot of quality to that one. Congratulations, young man.
First placed, Tanner Brett. Next in the ring, we have the 4-H Champion Drive. currently in the ring is the 4-H champion drive. This is the first call for Class 7 of the FFA market sheet. Please be ready at the ringside.
Definitely been a interesting 4-H show and a very competitive one at that. There's 3 sheep out here for our champion that hit me extremely hard in their particular classes, and then they definitely deserved that second look as we brought them back here in the ring. The sheep out of Class 2, talking about that one, loved the freshness of muscle shape and loved that one at the top side of his hip. But in that particular class, and as he still stands out here, just want to open that one up at the ground still ever so slightly from front to rear. But I think that one's ultra good in his muscle shape. The sheep that comes out of Class 3 there, really, really cool sheep as far as his skin and structural build and balance. This one is extremely big rack, probably the biggest rack. As far as his touch and handle, this one needs to be a little bit bigger at the top side of his hip compared to some of the others out here. Needs to be a little bit bigger in his bone work, but I think that one carries a lot of good and is a really nice sheep. Definitely deserves a look indeed. The sheep that comes out of, I guess it would be Class 5, I talked about that one shortly ago. That one in his body shape and chest floor assembly and balance is extremely good. That one's bigfoot and fuzzy-legged, but where that one's ultra unique is in his rack shape and carries that structural balance all the way back into his loin, yet his integrity at the ground is extremely well. Really nice sheep there. I think it's pretty close, honestly, for champion and even closer for reserve. If you guys would, give him a nice round of applause, and I'll grab you a champion in reserve.
Congratulations, your 4-H champion market sheep goes to Miley Patton. And reserve champion goes to Courtney Polish. Now entering the ring is Class 7 FFA Market Sheep. Currently in the ring is Class 7 FFA Market Sheep weighing 112 to 119 pounds. This is the first call for Class 8. Please be ready ringside.
When you talk about a lightweight sheep that brings a lot to the table, I imagine the one that wins this class. This one is big and powerful down his top line. He's good in his chest floor. This one's massive at the ground. Does this one get a little bit more a little bit more moderate in his read? Definitely, but I still think as a lightweight sheep, this one's ultra good and stylish and has a lot of balance still. The sheep that comes in second is long-bodied and leveled and just the next best structural as far as integrity goes, but definitely we need a bit more meat and muscle laid in this one from the top side of his spine all the way to the lower leg. The sheep that comes in third is one that's massive in his rack, really big and bold and dimensional as we correlate back, but I just really want to fix the structural integrity on this one. I think this one gets a little bit feeble and out of whack off those rear legs, but still a good sheep that has some terminal shape and terminal value to her. The sheep that rounds out the class is one that's long, extended. This one simply just needs to have more three-dimensional shape to her. This one needs to be better in her structural build and heavier bone to compete up any higher in this particular class. If you guys would, good class of FFA showman out here, really good sheep. Give them a nice round of applause.
In first place, Evan Lawrence. Second place, Ashley Kibler. Third place, Madison Torres. And in first place, Kaylin Smith. Next in the ring, we have Class 8. Currently in the ring is Class 8 FFA Market Sheep weighing 121 to 132 pounds.
If this is your first time at a livestock show, I think you could have sorted this one from the outside. This one's extremely good in his structural build. This one's good in his balance. Look at the symmetry and balance. This one carries through the front portion of his body, and then he carries it all the way down his top. This one handles extremely good, trenched up in his top. Extremely pliable in his muscle shape. I really like this one out of his rear leg as well. I think this one, as far as his weight and balance, is extremely good. Young lady does a nice job getting this one presented as well. The sheep that comes in second, I like this one an awful lot. He just ran into a workhorse out here that wins the class fairly easily. This one in second, though, I think as far as fed to to his genetic potential, this one's at a high caliber. You've done an excellent job getting this one fed. We just kind of ran a potential to make this one that much better, but you've done a really nice job getting that one shown as well. The sheep that's in third is another one I think we just kind of run out of genetic potential. That one's fed right. That one handles good. You do a nice job getting that one shown. We just need to get more natural three-dimensional shape from that one's 13th rib back into his hindquarters. I don't think there was anything, exercise, feed, nothing you could do about it. I just simply don't think it was there for that particular sheep. Nice job. You ran into two really good sheep in front of you. The blue sheep that comes next, I like this one's lines an awful lot. He just doesn't handle with the quality compared to the three to my right, but I think that one's structural build and balance is good. We just need to get that one more meat and muscle on his rack and back into his loin. The sheep that ends up in five, like that one's lines as well. From his hip-loin transition, he just needs to be stouter featured out of his hip. He needs to be a little bit better off his rear leg, but that one is definitely intriguing from his 13th rib forward. Nice class of sheep from top to bottom. Give him a nice round of applause if you would.
In first place, Josie Peak. Second place, Leah Crowell. Third place, Guillermo Nava. Fourth place, Ira Mavalos. And in fifth place, Jessica Millsap. Next in the ring, we have Class 9. Currently in the ring is Class 9 FFA market sheep weighing 134 to 139 pounds.
This one hit me extremely hard when he came in the ring. I love the extension up through the front part, or the front 1/3 of this one's body. I like this one's chest floor. I like the angle to this one's shoulder. This one's extremely good handling in his rack and back into his loin. This one's expressive into his hindquarters. Just a really, really high caliber sheep to win the class. Our speckled face sheep that comes next, I don't know if you heard me in the 4-H show, but we raise quite a few of these speckleds, and I really like them. There's just some issues that we run into raising these guys is they want to get more capacious in the center part of their body, and they're a little bit more difficult to hold together, and with that, it throws their balance out just a notch. But if you truly evaluate this guy, he's really bold and dimensional in his rack and back into his rib. This one's dead level out the top side of his spine. This one's ultra good in his overall appearance. I just want to make his balance just a touch better. The sheep that comes in third, I love the muscle sheep. This one carries down his top and back into his hindquarter. I think this one gets a little lower to his chest floor, gets a little straighter to his angles, but I still think that one's high caliber, good cutability on that third place sheep. The sheep that comes in fourth, I like this one's lines as well. This one needs to be presented just a notch better. This one needs to have a little bit better clip job on his head and into his chest floor, and I think that it would make that sheep look that much more presentable. But then you truly evaluate that guy, and he just doesn't have the meat and muscle back into hindquarters compared to the ones right in front of him. But a nice sheep there to be fourth. Good cutability on that one as well. Our sheep that rounds out the top five, and the one that rounds out the talk, is one that's long and extended, dead level from the top side of the shoulder to the top side of the hip. Just run out of gas with that one. Need more meat and muscle. Need to make that one a bit better off his hind legs. Good class of sheep from top to bottom. Give him a nice round of applause if you would.
In first place, Kimberlyn Alderman. Second place, Elizabeth Billman. Third place, Evan Lawrence. Fourth place, Kayla Daughtry. And in fifth place, Cord Peak. Now entering the ring, we have Class 10. Currently in the ring is Class 10 FFA Market Sheep weighing 143 to 150 pounds.
Nice, very conventional type sheep to win this class. This one's bold and three-dimensional in his top shape and big and bold in his rib shape. This one handles extremely well down his top. When you evaluate this one appears to be a little bit over conditioned. And then you put your hands on him, and I hope he doesn't make me a liar when he hits the rail, because simply think that this one handles fresh enough and hard enough to the touch. I think that one's going to yield at a decent rate as well. Nice sheep to win the class. The sheep that comes in second, I love the lines from the top side of his shoulder to the top of his hip. This one just simply needs to have more hindquarters to compete up any higher in the class. Much like our class winner, just need to stouten that one up at the top side of his hip and down into his lower stifle. Nice sheep there to be second. The sheep that's in third, I like this one an awful lot. This one is big and massive in his rack. He's level in his lines. This one gets too rigid and too straight off his rear leg to make him compete up any higher in the class. But a lot of terminal shape and a lot of terminal value to that one to be in third. The sheep that's in fourth, I like this one an awful lot till I really evaluate this one in motion. This one wants to push out to its rear leg, turns its right hock in awfully bad. I just want to fix that one's structural balance to make him compete up any higher. I think this one's fed to a high caliber, and this one has a lot of show ring look to him. Unfortunately, we can't fix those structural attributes when they're born with it, but whoever fed on this one did an excellent job. Congratulations to all of you. If you would, give them a nice round of applause.
In first place, Ryan Olson. Second place, Grace Tanskick. Third place, JC Carpenter. Fourth place, JC Carpenter. And in fifth place, Sarah Faircloth. Next in the ring, we have Class 11.
Quite honestly, when we start to get into these heavier weights, I expect the sheep not to be as good, simply because a lot of them start to get old and stale, and that's not the case. Honestly, from first to third, these sheep handle extremely good. If you want to pet on a good one, I think you could pet on any one of these and still have a desirable case to where you want to set your priorities. I'm going to set my priorities to one that's extremely heavy muscled and big hipped and really extended through his front end still, and still good in his underline. Is this one ultra good in his structural build? Probably not. I don't like him off his rear leg. I don't like him off his front leg. I think he wants to push into his knee ever so slightly. I think he wants to roll out to his hock ever so slightly as well. But I think this one's body cavity and freshness to the touch and just simply big raw muscle, this one's ultra good. He's going to win the class. The sheep that comes in next is one, I like this one's three-dimensional shape in his rack and into his rib. This one's extremely opened up at the ground. This one just gets more moderate moderate in his shape, or more moderate in his build compared to the one that wins the class, but I still think this one's ultra good. Has a lot of, like I said, three-dimensional shape. That one's going to yield at a very high rate. Congratulations to you, young lady. You fed that one extremely well. The sheep that rounds out the top three, this one is another one. Handles extremely well in a rack and back into his loin. If you just evaluate these three, if this was a high school or college judging contest, I think we would all find them pretty close to the same. The one that falls to the bottom, unfortunately, she just doesn't have the balance or the structural build. The two right in front of her, but still a really nice heavyweight sheep to round out the top three. If you would, give them a nice round of applause.
In first place, Kimberlyn Alderman. Second place, Amaya Sarati. And in third place, Sadie Deshawn. Now in the ring, we will have your FFA champion drive. Currently in the ring is the FFA champion drive. Following this is going to be your Supreme champion drive.
Well, it's been a very competitive FFA show. A really, really good set out here on my front line from our lightweight all the way to our heavyweight. And I think simply it's just where you want to put your personal preference. And first that comes into mind for me is structure and then balance and three-dimensional shape and integrity all have to come pretty similar. And I think when you talk about a few sheep out here, there's a couple of them that do it a little bit better than others, but they're very close in similarities. And I think for me, there's just one out here that just does it just a notch better, and I mean just a tiny bit better than another. And if you wanted to argue between a champion or reserve or even the one that I think is third best, I wouldn't put up quite a fight with you, because I think that there's a lot of really good sheep over here on the front line, and I think you could go a lot of different directions just simply where you want to lay your priorities. I have the mic today. I have the honor to pick you an FFA champion, but if you guys would do them the honor and give them a nice round of applause, then I'll pick you that champion.
Congratulations, your FFA champion market sheep goes to Kimberlyn Alderman, and your reserve champion goes to Josie Peak. Now in the ring, we will have the Supreme Champion Drive. Currently in the ring is the Supreme Champion Drive. Your FFA champion is Kimberlyn Alderman. Reserve champion is Josie Peak. Your 4-H champion is Miley Patton, and reserve champion is Courtney Polish.
Well, first off, just want to appreciate my invitation to come here and sort through the sheep. I honestly didn't expect the livestock to be this consistent or this good in our champion drive. Our 4-H division, extremely, extremely good. I love the body shape of this one. I love his shoulder attachment. As we get him out here compared to our FFA sheep, he gets a little straighter to his hind end, maybe a little bit more rigid to his shoulder, but I still think there's a lot of good in that one's body shape and muscle density. That one's ultra good. Presentation, we could have get that one presented just a notch better. Blend those legs, comb that leg wool out just a notch, but I still think that one's ultra good in his own right. Reserve in the 4-H show. I like that sheep a lot. Might sound funny, but I love the eye and I love the head on this one. He grabs your attention right away, and it makes you look at that one's body shape and muscle density, and then structural build on that one's really good. Like I said, in his particular class, that one gets a little frailer out the ground compared to Ideal, but that one's ultra good in his body shape and lines as well. Really nice sheep to be reserved in the 4-H division. Our FFA sheep, this one's bold and powerful and massive. This one's starting to show a little bit more maturity compared to some of the other ones out here, but I still think he holds everything together extremely well. The sheep that is reserved in the FFA show, like that one an awful lot. I love his body lines. He doesn't have the mass and power compared to our FFA champion, but I still think that one's ultra good. Love the extension. Love the body type of that one. Just a little bit of history. We raise show goats for a living. We raise hair sheep, and we also raise quite a few black-faced sheep. So I'm very intrigued by where the industry is going and what priorities are being laid as far as the industry. But at the end of the day, these guys are going to hit the rail. And I worked for Superior Farm, where a lot of the California sheep and a lot of sheep throughout the nation end up to be slaughtered. And the funnest thing I had was to judge a county show like this and then go look at the sheep on the rail, and it taught me a lot. I worked there for 3 years, and I ran their transportation department, but like I said, the funnest thing for me to do was to go to the coolers and reevaluate those things when they were hanging there. And like I said, it taught me a lot as far as handle and three-dimensional shape that's laid in the top side of these things. So very, very appreciative. Haley, thanks for the invite to come out and sort through your sheep show today. The ring staff, extremely good. If you guys would, give these exhibitors and your ring staff a nice round of applause. I'll pick you a champion.
Congratulations, your Supreme Champion Market Sheep goes to Kimberlyn Alderman, and Reserve Supreme Champion goes to Josie Peak.